You're neurodivergent like me, you may have struggled with meditation. I have the video for you. So the most popular form of meditation in the West is mindfulness meditation, where you'll focus on the breathing. If you have thoughts that enter, you push them away and you return to your breath. The thing is, people with like ADHD, people that are neurodivergent, they struggle with this because they often get bored. The misconception is that you're bored because you're easily distracted. You are not easily distracted. You are hypersensitive. This hypersensitivity leads you to be hyper aware of your surroundings, what's going on. And this is why distractions happen. If you hear a little sound or if something's happening, it's going to pull your attention. But this is a superpower. And when paired with the right meditation technique, it actually is a massive benefit. You hear about these monks that are meditating in caves for 20 years. They are not doing mindfulness meditation, focusing on their breath. A lot of that time is spent exploring the internal universe. Okay, what does that mean? Well, just like the universe, our physical universe is infinitely expansive, always expanding. Your internal universe is infinite. So this morning, I woke up with some feelings of inadequacy and a lack of confidence. I like to meditate in the morning, so I grabbed my buckwheat pillow. You can't really see it, but I sit on the edge. It just helps me keep this upright posture. I did a 10-minute breath work to calm down the nervous system, to prepare the body to get into that meditative state. I also tape my mouth when I do meditation. First and foremost, it's to promote nasal breathing, but it's also because it's become a part of my ritual, if you will. I always recommend doing the same things before you meditate so that your body is prepared to get into that meditative state, but also it recognizes the signs that, hey, we're about to meditate. Finally, it was time to meditate. So I sit down and I start exploring the universe of the feelings that I'm having. Why am I feeling a lack of confidence? What is this uneasiness? And I sit with those feelings and I think, what is the source? What is causing me to feel this way? When I find the cause, then I explore, well, why is that causing me to feel a certain way? What is it about that cause? You go deeper and deeper and deeper. You will never find the bottom of this pit. You can explore, well, why do you have these feelings if they don't benefit you? Or do they possibly benefit you? I'll do it after I have a fight with my partner. What is it that she said that triggered me? Why did it trigger me? What is the source of that trigger? What has happened in the past that is a similar situation that I might be projecting? Why were those things in the past so powerful that they make me act a certain way today? You use your hyper focus, your attention. You pull every little thread, every little thought, and you follow it. And it is insane. It is insane because the benefits I have seen from this, the amounts of knowledge I have attained about myself, who I am as a person, overcoming certain things, it has all come from this technique. People think meditation is just emptying your mind, and that's not real meditation. Meditation is letting go of all expectations of what you're about to experience and just going with it. When you explore your internal universe, you are literally following and tracing every thought and emotion, and it is near endless. And whether focusing your mind on the breath or focusing your mind on every thread that you want to pull about who you are, how you act, why you act a certain way, both are actively focusing your mind. But your internal universe doesn't just include your thoughts and your emotions. It also includes actively feeling things within your body. The science behind chanting Om is insane, and I'm going to do a standalone video on that. But a really cool meditation with exploring the internal universe is doing Om chanting and focusing on the internal vibrations that you will feel, how they change, where they generate from.
There's a whole conspiracy about the Titanic. So the Titanic had a sister ship.
Yep.
Sister ship didn't have insurance on it.
Oh.
And was heavily damaged. And the men, I want to say it was JP Morgan, that was one of the backers.
Yeah,
of the Titanic.
yeah. I heard that. Yeah.
He was like, well, we got to collect insurance on this. So they quickly scrubbed the paint off and stuff and rode on the Titanic, went out to sea. JP Morgan was actually supposed to be on that ship.
But then didn't get on it.
Didn't get on. They went out and then they sunk. They were able to collect the insurance money.
1,500 people or something like that died.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
But recently they've been examining the hull and stuff of the Titanic. They said it actually looks like in the boiler room there was explosions.
That's so
and
strange.
the fact that the guy in the crow's nest didn't have binoculars.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
And the captain, he went way off course. It was something 200 miles off course.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me.
Towards icebergs.
Kind of surprised me where thing is, where Titanic actually went. They said, what was it?
Off of Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah, Nova Scotia, eh?
400 miles away, I think.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Petrification. Truth is stranger than fiction. Declassified CIA document talking about soldiers being petrified instantly by alien spacecrafts. This is the craziest story I've ever heard. There were these Russian soldiers fighting this alien spacecraft, and all of a sudden, beams of light, and they get turned into stone instantly. Then they got taken to this secret hangar. This is a verifiable story. I have the CIA documentation to prove it. What do you think happened here with this petrification? This is an actual petrified human foot that was found inside of a cowboy boot, where you can actually see the bone marrow, CT scans and all. This is a freaking foot. And this boot isn't even that old. The company that made these boots started in 1871, but this specific boot is only 1950s. Then of course, giant petrified trees. Those aren't petrified trees, those are mountains. Oh yeah? Well, what are the rings then? So I'm sure that's just a sculpture. Do you think it was really aliens, or do you think it's more of a spiritual thing? And do you believe this thing was really carved by hand? Look at the intricate details, and look how these kind of look like stalactites. Here's the document again if you want to just pause and read.
I saw this conspiracy theory regarding Joe Biden being an actor, and it's not actually Joe Biden. Someone's like, hey, did you see this on IMDb? And then it like took off, but since then it's been taken off of IMDb. But it was a movie, and the title was Joe Biden sworn in as U.S. president on Inauguration Day 2021.
Shut up. No way.
And it only had one actor in the cast and crew,
Who was?
and his name is Arthur Roberts. This is Arthur Roberts, but they're saying that he had wearing a mask. Like, I don't know if you saw there was a picture where he was like kind of like looking down, and dude, it looks like he's wearing a mask.
No way.
But it's crazy. Like, it literally looks like you could just like grab it and just pull it off.
Yikes.
And it's
Yeah.
not super easy to get something on IMDb either. And this happens with every president, because I remember when Hillary was running for president, she had like some type of medical issue. She passed out outside of her car.
Oh no.
Like, and they like picked her up and put her in the car and stuff. And then later, you know, a one comes out, they're like, that's not her, that's a fake. And so it happens with everything.
Of what looks like a creature of an unknown origin. This image and video was captured in El Paso, Texas. A woman was sitting on her couch at 3:45 in the morning and suddenly received a notification on her cell phone. It was her security camera advising her that there was something outside of her home. She immediately checked the photos and video of this creature on her phone and noticed that it looked like something unrecognizable. She didn't understand what she was looking at, so she sent the footage to a couple of UFO channels on social media, and now the internet and social media itself is going crazy about this photo and video. This creature is going viral all over TikTok, all over social media, and no one knows what it is. Whatever it is, it looks like a mixture of E.T.
Stop listening to music. It's bad because it reprograms your subconscious mind by putting you in a hypnotic state. You want to dance or do something when you listen to music because it puts you in hypnosis. You remember the lyrics so vividly because it rewrites your subconscious mind. Every word they are saying in the song is molding and shaping your mind in some form or way. Why do you think you want to hurt someone when you listen to drill music, or want to dance hard when you listen to techno? You listen to music you literally cannot think because it's putting you in hypnosis. Spotify and Apple Music are all tuned to 440 Hz, which shuts down the right hemisphere of your brain because they do not want you thinking creatively or intuitionally. Music creates thought loops within your mind. This is why you feel nostalgia when you listen to an old song you used to listen when you were a child. The repetitive music and beats creates thought loops in your mind. In nature, nothing is repeating, everything is constantly transforming. It's the same with your mind. Your mind should be constantly transforming to bigger and better things. Listen to music in 432 Hz or 528 Hz and make sure it has no demonic lyrics and no repetitive choruses.
In 1987, a paradigm-shattering discovery was made in the Caucasus region of Russia, near the border between Europe and Asia. Buried deep in the earth, in a place called Mezmaiskaya Cave, scientists discovered the remains of a Neanderthal infant, baby girl, that lived about 30,000 years ago. So for reference, the last ice age ended about 20,000 years ago, meaning that this baby was alive during the ice age. William Goodwin, PhD from the University of Glasgow in Scotland, commented on the exceptional discovery, saying, quote, "It is something of a mystery how this child's remains were so perfectly preserved. This landmark discovery was the turning point when it comes to answering the question of where we humans fit on the evolutionary family tree." Using forensic techniques, scientists were able to extract the mitochondrial DNA from one of the baby's ribs for analysis. And the reason that mitochondrial DNA is key when it comes to the question of human evolution is because we inherit it only from our mothers. It's the uniqueness of this form of DNA that set the stage for the bombshell revealed by the Neanderthal baby girl. Using the most advanced techniques with results that are accepted in the highest courts of law, Russian and Swedish scientists tested the Neanderthal infant's DNA to see how similar hers was to that of modern-day humans. In other words, the scientists wanted to know if the Neanderthal girl was actually one of our ancestors, as the evolutionary family tree leads us to believe. The results of the first studies were published in obscure scientific journals and reported, quote, "The Neanderthal mtDNA sequences were substantially different from human mtDNA," end of quote. And although this single statement sounds relatively benign, it's the equivalent of an earthquake with the epicenter right at the core of the human evolutionary tree. Researchers at the University of Glasgow Human Identification Center published the results of their own investigation, comparing Neanderthal DNA to that of modern humans. The results of their study were shared in a way that made sense to even the most non-scientific reader, and the meaning of what they found could not be dismissed. The conclusion of their report was shared in the peer-reviewed journal titled Nature, and directly stated that modern humans, quote, "were not, in fact, descended from Neanderthals," end of quote. So if we're not descendants of Neanderthals, then who were our ancestors? Who are we? Where do we fit on the tree of evolution, or do we even belong in Darwin's evolutionary family? When I was in school back in the 1960s and early 1970s, learning about Neanderthals and other pre-human beings, such as Australopithecus, the famous Lucy, and Homo habilis, the famous handyman, we were taught that there was another member of the evolutionary family tree who was a close ancestor as well. In those days, the name used for these distant relatives was the name Cro-Magnon. Paleoanthropologists have replaced this term with another word that makes more sense, and the reason will be self-explanatory. The new name used to identify the former Cro-Magnons is anatomically modern humans, abbreviated simply as AMH. Scientists generally agree that AMHs first appear in the fossil record about 200,000 years ago, and they mark the beginning of the subspecies Homo sapiens sapien. So although anatomically modern humans appeared on Earth 200,000 years ago, the oldest DNA discovered from them so far is from a man who lived in Siberia about 45,000 years ago, an anatomically modern human. Further advances in genetic technology allowed for the comparison of anatomically modern human bodies to those of 4 newly discovered Neanderthal bodies.
Atlanta, did you hear the news? They are literally trying to turn ATL into China. Georgia Power and AT&T have teamed up and created these LED streetlights with sensor-enabled data network in order to see your every move, y'all. Check this out. You're not gonna like it.
Power crews have been working to repair an unplugged place streetlights in and around Metro Atlanta.
The sensors can record outdoor temperature, capture pedestrian and vehicle movement, and record audio and video.
Drone 2 flew over the Thomasville Heights neighborhood.
So the device attaches very nicely to the light, and it blends in quite nicely. And it's got two cameras, 2 audio sensors, edge processing capabilities, which is really great and allows you to do a lot more than just kind of sending full video files back. And supports multiple connectivity options, like cellular is what we're leveraging today, but it can also support fiber and Bluetooth as well.
Officials held a news conference Wednesday night to discuss the progress they've made with the Light Up the Night program, where they plan to go next. 2024 marks year 3 of the ongoing initiative and the latest efforts in the old Adamsville neighborhood.
The next year, we're going to increase that by 20,000 more lights. Lighting up the night.
Is that the people monitoring the cameras have the ability to move those cameras 360 degrees. They can zoom in and out on whatever's happening in the area of the camera. We have highly trained civilian personnel. Not only are they monitoring radio traffic, they have the ability to communicate directly with the officers on the street, and they're also proactively monitoring, looking for criminal activity. For example, there was a monitor that observed animal abuse, and they were able to call that out, and the suspect was apprehended at a short distance from where the observation was made.
We also have camera programs that allow that where we own and
Oh, but we may actually have, my friend. We may already have. Let's take a second to get a few people mad out there with these photos of excavated giant bones found all over the world. But why would they be mad? Oh, it's because these are fake. That's right. Every one of these photos of giant bones have been deemed fake, but I'm gonna show you the real ones. Photos like this are claimed to have been part of an archaeology Photoshop contest back in the day, but were they just part of a cover-up? Let's start off easy. These 6.5-foot femur bones are confirmed real and weigh around 1,100 pounds. But they were of course labeled as dinosaur bones, belonging to a species called sauropods. Real convenient being able to just slap a dinosaur label on any potential giant remains we ever find, huh? A lot of people will say, it's only one bone, where's the rest of the giant then? Oh yeah? Where's the rest of the dinosaur, motherfucker? But you know what? They might actually be dinosaur bones, so let's not jump to conclusions yet. Like this 2-headed mummy discovered off the coast of Argentina in the 1600s, measuring 12 feet tall and currently on display in a museum, confirmed by many physicians to be real. Now there's this. A giant skeleton over 23 feet tall, uncovered in Ecuador and 100% confirmed real, which was later dismissed as an ancient sloth? Like, come on, they're just making shit up at this point. Another photo from Ecuador. Kinda blurry, I know, but almost no evidence pointing to it being faked. Here's a giant footprint fossil in South Africa, 4 feet long and estimated to have belonged to a being 24 to 27 feet tall. And finally, there's this. A much more human-looking femur bone, and not as thick as the others. Dug up in the Euphrates Valley in Turkey, measuring 47 inches and estimated to have belonged to a giant over 20 feet tall. All confirmed real, and giant excavations like these used to get widely reported in newspapers all the time back in the late 18 to mid 1900s, but now they're always quick to sweep these under the rug for some reason. With the Smithsonian, the world's leading museum and research education institution created by the US government, accused of covering up all giant findings and instead putting the spotlight on how fake the fakes are. Like they did with the San Diego giant in 1865, which is one of the smaller ones, inspected by dozens of scientists and featured in many newspapers. After which the Smithsonian purchased the giant for a pretty large sum, and then all of a sudden, many years later, they dismiss it as a hoax, saying that it was made from gelatin and we never see it again. Google searches of these giant excavations will obviously only bring up the fakes, pushing the most ridiculous ones to the top of the search results. The problem with finding definitive proof of these giants is the internet is laced with these Photoshop jobs. So all the Google debunkers are quick to downplay any new evidence that comes up, like, nah bro, it's fake, didn't you read that fact check article bro, even if real evidence were to come up. But even if real evidence were to come up, the alleged Smithsonian cover-up can easily just write a bunch of articles that discredit it as a hoax. We all know this isn't the first time governments and tech giants were caught deliberately manipulating data to control the narrative. A lot of the time, the difference between a conspiracy and fact is time. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% one of those cases, but keep that mind open, people.
Very credible people. All of these people had said that there are UFOs, they are alien. We're using anti-gravity and reverse engineered technology that came from captured UFO craft.
We're using anti-gravity?
Yeah. I predict within the next 7 years we will have anti-gravity as a publicly usable phenomena. unlike the press would have you believe, it wasn't very clever. I searched for blank passwords. I wrote a tiny Perl script, the Perl language, that tied together other people's programs that searched for blank passwords. So you could scan 65,000 machines, and because all 65,000 aren't necessarily live yet, you might find typically 5,000 might be live. And out of that, 500 might be Windows machines, then 50 might have blank administrator passwords, which is a pretty bad ratio for the world's largest military.
So you're saying that you found computers which had a high-ranking status, administrator status,
Yep.
which hadn't had their passwords set. They were still set to default.
Yeah, precisely. And in some cases, it was thousands of machines because they had an image. Rather than install Windows off a CD at every machine, you blat it onto an image, stick the image in all the machines, and every single machine has a blank local administrator password. So, but I mean, I had control of every machine that had a blank administrator password because the door was open. So.
And what did you use that to do?
I was searching for files and evidence in relation to the UFO question.
If I was, say, a NASA employee and I was walking past the computer that you were connected to, what would I have seen on?
And if you were walking past there, you would see the mouse move and me, doing whatever I was doing on that desktop.
Why weren't you spotted then?
I was eventually, but there was one occasion where a network engineer saw me and actually questioned me, and we actually talked to each other via WordPad, which was quite strange. That was very, very strange.
What did he say? What did you say?
Well, he said, "What are you doing?" Which is a bit, shocking. I told him I was from military computer security, which he fully believed. And we had a little chat, and he tried to impress me with his virus knowledge and going into a DOS box, a console and stuff. And that was quite strange. Because I felt like this free energy technology that I was after should be publicly available. I wasn't doing any damage. I was snooping around. I wasn't making their security poorer because the administrator password was already blank, so the door was already open. The only thing I was doing was installing my remote control program, which is commercially off-the-shelf available software, so it shouldn't be a problem either.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
There's a group called the Disclosure Project. They published a book which had 400 expert witnesses ranging from civilian air traffic controllers through military radar operators right up to the chaps that are responsible as to whether or not to launch nuclear missiles. So some very credible, all saying that yes, there's UFO technology, there's anti-gravity, there's free energy, and it is extraterrestrial in origin, and we've captured spacecraft and reverse engineered it. And these are, very solid, reliable chaps. One of these people was a NASA photographic expert. And she said that in Building 8 of Johnson Space Center, they regularly airbrushed out images of UFOs from the high-res satellite imagery. And using the same blank password hunting technique, I got down to Building 8, got a few blank passwording machines there, and what she said was there. There was folders called filtered and unfiltered, or processed and raw, something like that. I got one picture out of the folder, bearing in mind this is a 56K dial-up.
So a very slow internet connection.
Oh, crikey, yeah, dial-up days. So using the remote control program, I turned the color down to 4-bit color, the screen resolution really, really low, and even then this picture was still, juddering and coming onto the screen. But what came onto the screen was amazing. It was a culmination of all my efforts. It was a picture of something that definitely wasn't man-made. It was above the Earth's hemisphere. It was kind of looked like a satellite. It was cigar-shaped. It had geodesic domes above, below, to the left, to the right, and both ends of. And although it was a low-resolution picture, it was very close up. This thing was hanging in space. The Earth's hemisphere was visible below it. And no rivets, no seams, none of the stuff associated with normal man-made manufacturing. More than coincidence. I mean, this woman had said, this is what happens in this building, in this space center. I went into that building, that space center, and saw exactly that. And the folders were even called unprocessed.
This is pretty chilling to listen to. This guy used to work for the FBI, and he goes into detail of what he used to do for the FBI. He used to work primarily with children. Now think about that, you guys, children. When he was getting a little too good at his job, he brought his attention to the director of the FBI forces, and everything changed. I want you to listen to this.
in the FBI in 2014. Spent my first 7 years investigating violent crimes on Indian reservations. Eventually moved to Florida to work on child pornography and human trafficking. In 2021, I was reassigned and told that those child pornography cases were no longer a priority for the FBI, and I needed to focus on domestic terrorism. When I made the transition, I got my first look at the January 6 investigations and became immediately concerned. The FBI is departing from its own guidelines and rules for managing cases. I brought my concerns forward. I told my supervisors that what we were doing was jeopardizing righteous cases and putting the public safety at risk. Within 30 days, the FBI suspended my security clearance and placed me into an indefinitely unpaid, suspended position for the FBI. The security division tried to compel me to lie to them so they could charge me with a crime. The FBI rejected my multiple requests for outside employment because I was in an unpaid status. If the FBI is willing to do that to one of its own people, what are they willing to do to the regular American citizen who they are duty-bound to protect?
Check this video out, y'all. A whale was giving birth to a baby in the water, and this attracted sharks due to the smell of blood. And dolphins appeared out of nowhere and formed a circle around the whale and the baby to protect them. Look at that, y'all. Look at the whale. Look at the whale. Look at that. To protect the whale. This is why they want y'all to stay away from dolphins. Look at this. Look at how beautiful this is, man. Wow. And they escorted them off. This is beautiful, beautiful. And to be able to capture this, thank you to the Predator for this. But yeah, man, this is why they want y'all to stay. That's why they want dolphins to stay away from y'all. They want dolphins to stay away from us. We are connected to dolphins. Dolphins are higher birds of us. That's, they speak telepathy. Look at this, y'all. This is beautiful, man. Share this video. Let's get this out there. Look at what dolphins do for us.
Okay, you guys, I don't want to alarm you, but something may be coming to pass with the financial economy system. The Walton family just sold $4.5 billion to Walmart stock, and Jeff Bezos sold $8.5 billion today. Jamie Dimon sold $150 million to JP Morgan. Zuck sold $400 million. Buffett is selling a lot. Altogether, Bezos, Black, Dimon, and the Walton family have sold a combined whopping $11 billion in company stock this month, and this is for the first time ever. Do you guys see this? In this latest interview, Warren Buffett is recorded saying, financially speaking, there will not be a 2025 and that there's going to be some consequences to pay.
It all has consequences, and I think we're about, well, we are starting to see the consequences of.
It seemed like he couldn't say what he really wanted to say. Did you see the anticipation in his body language? You know these people are being controlled on all kinds of levels. They got handlers all around him. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy that's right next to him isn't a handler. Not to mention, the U.S. is in debt at $33 trillion, you guys. 33 is the number Jesus died at, right? So is the U.S. economy about to be crucified? Do you think that's the case here, y'all? Because spiritually speaking, you know, this is all a video game and every numbers run everything, y'all. Because this is probably why they told us about it. This is why they said it specifically at $33 trillion for the first time.
Dude, why are there like different species of like dogs and birds, but not of humans? Oh, there are, or at least there were. We just killed them. Bro. Yeah, me and you, we're Homo sapiens, the only remaining living species in the human or the Homo genus. No homo, no. For hundreds of thousands of years, there existed completely other species of human beings, some of which us, Homo sapiens, even lived alongside of and likely mated with. The most popular of which are Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthals, commonly seen as our stockier, bulkier, and cave-dwelling distant cousins, who lived in Europe and parts of Asia up until 40,000 years ago. Then they no longer existed, although they kind of live on inside of us, as average humans today have about 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA in their genes. There were also Homo floresiensis, aka real-life hobbits, Denisovans, a species that likely lived in high-altitude climates, and Homo erectus, one of the longest-lasting species who were around for about 1.5 million years. For comparison, Homo sapiens have only been around for about 200 to 400,000 years, which theories suggest we essentially genocided these other species into extinction through superior technology and cooperation methods. It's believed that while other human species banded together together in smaller tribes for the sole purposes of survival and reproduction, Homo sapiens appear to have the ability to collaborate in larger groups for purposes that go beyond just themselves, such as in religion or even business. Of course, there aren't any recorded religions or corporations that go back 40, 50,000 years, but this inherent ability of Homo sapiens to form larger alliances beyond their immediate vicinity is what gave us the edge over the others. This cooperation is evident in out-of-place historical sites like Göbekli Tepe dating older than 10,000 years. Dude, what if Homo sapiens just created a virus in like a lab that only affected other human species to completely wipe them out 40,000 years ago? That's pretty unlikely. I don't think we had labs back then. Nah, dude, you're just not open-minded enough.
I saw my buddy Mike Guyver with this coin in his background on a live. Look, it's a flat earth. A San Marino coin from 1999 with a flat earth on it. But look at the creepy front of the coin. It's a caged mind with the globe in it, hands holding fire, and the celestial bodies all around. And don't tell me that's not a caged mind. It literally says crowned shield. Flat earth as once envisioned, and a crowned shield. And what's with the hands holding fire? Have you guys ever seen heliosorcery? This kind of reminds me of those vibes. This person has the caged mind and the fire in the hands and all these planets. Now that's more like it. It'd be cool to get my hands on one of these. And what are these? Are these like blast holes in the firmament? And why do they look like moon craters? You gotta admit, it's funny that the craters on the moon are all at the right angle as if those meteors came from Earth.
Look at what's just casually passing in Saudi Arabia, y'all. Look at this. Look at this. They are here, right? They've been telling us we are in a new time and space, and look at that, in Saudi Arabia. Now, before anybody says this is fake or Project Blue Beam, there is another angle of this, y'all. Check this out. Look, check this out. Here's another angle of it. Look at that. Y'all see that? So, can somebody explain what is going on? You can clearly hear the noise, a silent humming. You can clearly hear it. And then what are the odds of it? Another person catch another angle of it, y'all, in the same night. Look at this, y'all. In Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, let's get it.
So apparently we know of 69 different alien species.
These are cataloged 69 different species, different life forms. There's one species that at full adulthood is about 1.5 feet. There's another species that's 10 or 12 feet. The ones that people often refer to are around 3 to 4 feet, 39 inches or so tall. We have very good forensic drawings from men who've been on the retrieval teams of what these various species look like. The reason they keep coming back, number one, it's not a coincidence that the modern era of all this started when we started detonating atomic bombs. What Edward Teller and Oppenheimer didn't understand when they were developing that is that when you detonate an atomic bomb, you get, everybody knows about an electromagnetic pulse, the pulse that goes out, knocks out all electronic communication. What people didn't know about is there's also a pulse of what's called scalar energy. And scalar is faster than the speed of light.